Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Darvanalee Designs Studio. For those that don't know, my name's Nicole Reed, and today we are here to do some slow stitching Saturday. All right, so don't forget to leave me a comment in the comments, and that way I know that you are here and where you're watching from and what you're working on and all the things. I'm just double checking that everything's working okay. So with my arm going across. Yeah, so today we are here for some slow stitching Saturday, and basically we're going to be working on this little puppy here. And I'm just going to get rid of my phone and the headphones because I can hear that that is working okay. And yeah. All right, so I have been away for the last couple of weekends. That's why you have not seen me on the Saturday. Last week, I went to Bookfest down in Brisbane and spent some time with my daughter, which was absolutely fabulous. I got way too many books, but there are books that I've been chasing, completed a couple of series. Yeah, I've got a couple of buddy reads happening and stuff like that with other people. Very social in the book community. So I must admit, it's probably a little bit more social than the stitching community because not in way of interacting with each other offline. Even though we're online, but doing things, messaging and all that sort of stuff because we're talking about the books and all that sort of thing. So yeah, so yeah, I've been doing a bit of buddy reading and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I did go book shopping last week, and the week before that, I went and done a day of stitching with some friends, which was absolutely fabulous. It was good to get out and all that sort of stuff. So occasionally you won't see a slow stitching Saturday. If I get a chance during the week, then I'll pre-film it and put it up for a slow stitching Saturday. But I just haven't had a chance in the last couple of weeks because I've been, doing a lot of things, getting a lot of things in place and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so basically, today, as I said, we're going to work on this. As you can see, we are now putting borders on. So we have that border on. This one is on. This is half on, and we're going to finish putting that on today. And then we're also going to look at the borders that we need to make for the top of the table runner. So I have, as you can see, I have two going one way and then the center one going a different way. So yeah, that is basically what we've done with that. All right, now for those that are new here and haven't seen what I've been doing, this is all getting done by hand. So I am hand stitching this entire thing together. A lot of time with slow stitching Saturday, we see things like where you're getting bits of lace and all this sort of stuff, and you're doing a little bit of embroidery, making like a little sampler book and all that sort of stuff, which is something that I want to do, but a little bit further down the track. My take on slow stitching Saturday is slightly different. Mine is where I am doing things that are useful. So that might be a quilt that I'm going to put together by hand, a table runner like we're working here. And yes, it is Christmas one because this is bled over and I'm working on it till it's finished. It might be a little bit of hand embroidery. It might be some sashiko. It could be a bag that's entirely made by hand and all that sort of stuff. So that is my interpretation of slow stitching Saturday. I know that it's not everybody else's. I've had plenty of emails about it. I appreciate your emails. I appreciate your feedback, but this is my take on slow stitching Saturday. And yeah, so this is the way that we're going to go. If you don't like this sort of thing, that's fine. You can just click away now. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'd appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up before you left. All right. So with all that out of the way, as I said, this is my interpretation of slow stitching Saturday. Now, we have been doing this all by hand. It's incredibly hot here today. Like, it's only 9 o'clock in the morning and it's already 26 degrees and it's overcast and it's so humid because we had a lot of rain yesterday afternoon. So basically, just to give you a refresh, okay, I'm pretty sure you can see that fairly clear. If I get too much closer, it goes a little bit blurry and I don't know what happens. The camera just doesn't like getting too close. So you can see there that I've marked these borders. So I've just marked a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I just have a regular sharps needle. Okay, you can see here that I have pinned it down. Made a bit of mistake at this end. So yeah, I know where I'm going with that. And basically I've pinned it down, making sure that my raw edges are lining up. Now my squares actually have interfacing on it and my borders do not. You can put interfacing on your borders, but excuse me, it's not necessary at all. But you can if you feel like it's especially like if you're using like Liberty Tanner lawn or something like that, that fabric inherently is a little bit more softer and I don't want to use the word flimsy, but that's the only word that's coming to mind at the moment. It doesn't have the stability that quilter's cotton does. So if I was working on something like that, I would probably put interfacing, a woven interfacing, not a non-woven one on it. And it just gives it a little bit more stability. But this is just quilter's cotton. And with the fact that I already have interfacing on the squares that I'm stitching to, it's working pretty well. So of course, I've just unthreaded my needle, which is just fabulous. Also, I'd just like to say, because a lot of people watch this on the replay as well, because it's quite early in the morning and it's Saturday morning, there's sports going on and all sorts of things happening. So I'm fully aware of that. It just means I do it at this time, and sometimes I do it a little bit earlier because it just gives me that opportunity to get stuff done during the day. Whereas if I do a live stream at, say, 10 o'clock or whatever, it seems to eat into my day more. I don't know. I think it's a, I don't know what it is. I think it's just a thing that's in my head that makes me feel that way. So anyway, if you are watching it on the replay, please do leave me a comment down below and let me know what you were working on while we were doing this and all that sort of stuff. And have you ever made anything by hand before where you've stitched the entire thing by hand? I would really love to hear about it. What I'm doing right now is essentially mimicking the sewing machine. So I am doing smallish back stitches. Okay, so I've started it and then I just quickly back stitch that all the way along, and I draw the lines just so I keep straight because I don't know, get a bit skewy sometimes, as most people do, I guess. So we're going to do this, and then I'm going to show you 2 ways to add your borders on. So, well, how to connect your borders so you've got a long strip. We're going to do a diagonal one, and then of course I'm going to be doing diagonal on this one, but I will mimic up mock up what you need to do for the other one, which is pretty simple. The diagonal joining of strips is a little bit trickier. You need, to have your pins and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, but we'll go through that in a little bit. I just want to get these borders on. So this will be ready to use next year on the coffee table. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be the first thing that we finish for 2024 on the Slow Stitching Saturday episodes. Now, just to go back to the fact that I at least once a month, okay, I am out of the studio. This month I was out twice because we had the book fest and we had the stitching. So the next Saturday that I will be going to meet up with friends is on the 17th of February. And so, yeah, so hopefully I can get some more footage of that and we can have a little vlog together and whatnot. I want to go and check out a couple of things. I'm going to leave a little bit earlier than I did last time. And I'm going to go check out a few things in the little town and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah. Excuse me. I still have a croaky voice from November. Like, it's wild. Excuse me. I do have my coffee this morning. It's just going down just beautifully, even if I do say so myself. All right, so I can see a few people have joined us. So Megan is here this morning. Good morning, Megan. Thank you for joining. Chrissy is also here as well. Hey, hun, how are you? Hello, Susan. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate you all popping in. I mean, these live streams aren't huge, but it's really nice because I see familiar names and familiar faces, and I've known you for so long, and it's wonderful to see that you are continuing to support the channel, and you pop in and all that sort of stuff. So it's lovely to see you all. I just need to take this ring off because it keeps grabbing my thread. Sometimes when I do stitching, I do have to jewel myself. Because that particular ring there is a little ring that I wear on my pinky, and I wear it there, but it's got an open back because it's adjustable. So yeah, I wear rings in weird places. It's, I have been told in the past that I'm a weirdo. I'm okay with that. All right, what do we got going here? There we go. So yeah, that's fine. It has been a busy time over on BookTube and all that sort of stuff, because it's all the end of year stats and goals videos for the beginning of the year. And of course, we did start the year off with a readathon as well. And I've been asked to co-host another one next month. So that is exciting. So I'm doing all that. And today I'm also going to talk, while I'm doing a little bit of stitching, about a book that I read this week, which I think a lot of you might be interested in. It's not something that I have read before, but it was quite an interesting book, and how it was done and all that sort of stuff. Chrissy's saying, I've never done a whole quilt by hand, but I will one day. My pies and tarts is EPP, so about 90% by hand. And I plan on hand quilting it as well. So yeah, that's awesome. I'm planning, I do have a quilt in the process at the moment. It is English paper piecing, and basically it is the DJing quilt. I have been I had some stuff packed away under my long arm machine, which I haven't got to yet, but I believe I've got majority of everything together that I had in my I had some stuff in my sewing box from it, so I've got all that together. And as I said, it is the DJing quilt, and I plan on just doing that nice and slow. I do have to get the book for it though. I don't have that. I thought I had it on my Kindle, but I don't. So I'm going to buy the physical book for that, and then I can start doing that again. I will be pulling it out to show you and whatnot, but it will be just part of the vlog because they're 4.5-inch squares. I'm doing it in blue and white, so I'm collecting blue and white fabrics because I haven't done a blue and white quilt. So they're 4.5-inch squares, and some of the pieces are as small as my pinky nail, and it is all done by English paper piecing. And I got that many years ago. I want to say like 2014, maybe even 2013, through, what's the name of the website? Paper Pieces. Paperpieces.com. Sorry. I don't know why. Like, it was fine prior to this, and then all of a sudden I go live and it starts. So yeah, so I'm planning on doing that, but that is going to be definitely a work in progress. I would like to get maybe a block a week done, but that's not going to happen, is it now? I love the detail. I do have the cross stitch pattern for it. Oh wow, I didn't know there was a cross stitch pattern for it. Well, there you go. There you go. Maybe you can do a little bit while I'm doing it on Patreon, and where you see it, you can work on your little piece and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, there you go. Did not know that. So yeah, so I do have a couple of quilts and stuff that I'm pretty keen to maybe do by hand. Maybe even just get like a modern day quilt that I got as a block of the month and do the whole thing by hand. Would be interesting to see how it'll go. Well, I mean, it wouldn't be a hard thing to do because the simple fact is you've got the fabric, you can cut it out, and then you just stitch it together. So it's not really that hard, but it'd be interesting to do it and to see how long it actually takes. It'll probably take me forever, but anyway, we won't talk about that. We're not going to talk about how good Nicole is at finishing stuff. I am planning on getting a lot of stuff done this year, though. I've sort of taken a little bit of a break during December and January with doing whips and stuff like that because, I do a lot, as most of you know, and sometimes you just need to take 5 minutes. So this year, part of my goals is to get out of the house more. So once a month, I'm getting off the veranda and I'm going out into the big wide world. There's lots of people out there. I'm not too sure about this people business. But yeah, I'm doing a bit of that. And, you know, I've got 2 weeks in March where I'm down in Brisbane because I've got to go and look after Mia while her mum's away for 2 weeks. And she's still got to go to school. So I'm going there this time, which is fine. I'll be doing a lot of pre-filming and all that sort of stuff, and I'll have my computer with me, and I just won't be doing live streams and whatnot. And I might be able to, if I can get all the stuff that I need to get done in February, we'll be good to go. And then I'll be back for the last part. But I will put a notice up if I'm going to have videos going up and stuff in the Facebook group and also here on the community tab. So yeah, so you'll have to keep an eye out for that. So yeah, it's unavoidable. I cannot get out of it, and I can't have her here for those 2 weeks when she's missing. It's too early in the year for her to miss out on that much school. So yeah, so I just said, look, I'll just come down. It's from, can't remember what time it's from, but yeah, so I may not be at the March Stitchy meetup. I don't know. I've got to check my dates and all that sort of stuff for that. And once I know that, I'll be able to, although I probably still could go. I could just ask Savannah if she could babysit for me, pick her up on the way, and they can go and do some stuff and go and have lunch and all that sort of stuff, play in the park and all that. So I'm sure she wouldn't mind doing that for me, although she might. I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. All right. So that is all the bits and pieces in the center are now on. Okay. I've got one more border to put on the side here. Okay. And we're going to do that right now because we need to do that before we can put our top borders on. So on the long side. So again, I'm just going to line this up and make sure it's sitting nice and flat and that my raw edges are lining up. These have got to be the bluntest needle pins I've ever got in my life. They came in an Advent, and they look sharp. They're not sharp. Some of them are just a little bit dull. I'll have to get like an emery board and give them a bit of a going over, and that'll sharpen them up. I only got like 6 or 7 of them, so it's not going to take me long to do. All right, let me get my thread, and I'm just using Gutermann thread. It's a thread that's readily available to me. So, and I'm just using one strand. I'm not doubling it over. If you're concerned that it's going to be in a high traffic area, this is only going to come out once a year, so I'm not overly concerned. But if this was something that was used on a daily basis, it was in a high traffic area, meaning that, you know, a lot of people are going to be touching it, things might get spilt on it, so it's going to get washed more often than not, and all that sort of stuff, then I would probably double my threads over just to give it that little bit more stability. But when you think about it, we don't do that with our sewing machines, and we're doing smallish stitches. So yeah, so you can make them very tight stitches if you want to. I tend to just do a little bit, a smidgen less than, oh, look at that. That's just, I hate it when it does that. Just gets all skewiff and what are you doing? Don't know what happened then, but it's done something. There we go. All right. I usually do a little bit under, like, it's a little bit bigger than 1/8 of an inch, but not quite 1/4 of an inch. It just depends. I don't get overly hung up about the stitches being absolutely perfect because I'm doing this for the joy of it. I'm not putting it into a show. As I said, it's something that's going to get used once a year for about 12 days. That's it. And it's not in a very high traffic area. But if you're going to have yours in a high traffic area, then I would definitely double your threads up, especially if you're going to wash it a lot. and only wash it on a gentle cycle or something like that. Put it in a delicates bag, all that sort of stuff. So yeah. So as I was saying earlier, I am going to be in Brisbane in March. So, but I'll be home on weekends and stuff like that. So I can always do a little bit of recording and whatnot on the weekends. I'll definitely do my floss tube and stuff like that because I'll be home to do that, and I can just swap out projects and all that sort of stuff. I may even just do it as a down in the park or something like I've done in the past with Mia or something like that. We'll see how we go. But the first 2 weeks of March, I'm not interested. She has given me the dates, but I'm not 100% sure of the dates because it will depend when she can get her flight. So, that is still up in the air at the moment. So as soon as I know, you will all know too, and then that way, we can work around that, as they say. I just think it'd be too much school for her to miss out on. And that's what I just said to my eldest. I'm like, I'll just come to you. And they've just got a new place to move into and all that sort of stuff. So I'll actually have my own room and all that sort of stuff. So that's good. And and I will just keep to myself. It'll be like a little mini holiday because I'll be able to still like do stitching and stuff during the day and all that sort of stuff. And I'll be able to meet up with Savannah and, go and do a couple of things, go to the museum and, the art gallery and all that sort of stuff while I'm down there. They'll be living near, they're moving at the end of the month. They'll be living near a beach, so I can always go down to the beach and do a bit of stitching down there. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to come home on weekends yet, but we'll see how we go. I know that if one of them I'm going up to stitching, so yeah, it'll be good. It'll be weird because I'm 2 weeks out of my studio, which will just spin me out, but because I can't tell you the last time I did 2 weeks out of the studio. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. All right, so as you can see, it does go pretty quick to get it done. I've just been doing this on camera. So basically you are seeing what I've been doing because I haven't done any of this off camera. Because I haven't actually stitched down these Christmas trees yet. So that'll be something else that I'll do as well. All right. So I had a question about this book because I talked about it over on my booktube, and I had a question about how was the Ali Smith book, because this is a book that I have not read before. This author, I have not read before. It's called There But For The. All right, so I have talked about it, as I said, over on booktube, that I am reading it and all that sort of stuff, and I will talk about it again over there as well. I've actually already filmed the clip for reading this because I finished this the other day. I actually gave it 3.5 stars. 4 stars, 3.5 stars, 4 stars. I can't remember what I gave it. I have to watch the clip again because I'm already onto my next book. So once I've dumped that information out of my brain, I just move on to the next book. But this was a really interesting book. Like when I first started reading it, I thought, oh my God, this is weird. So the premise of the book is there's a dinner party. There is a group of people, some of them a little bit pretentious, others a little bit just a little bit weird. Anyway, there's a kid involved at the dinner party as well. There is a man named Miles and his friend Hugo, who is gay, and basically what happens is when the book starts, it's broken up into parts. So it's broken up into these words. The first part is there, the second part is but, the third part is for, and then the last part is the. And Ali Smith is quite the little wordsmith, for lack of a better word. Okay, so basically she's really good at playing with language and all that sort of stuff. So basically she has written this story centered around this dinner party. And during the dinner party, after the main course and between the dessert, Miles gets up and walks upstairs. Everybody thinks he's gone up to the bathroom, and then after a while they realize he hasn't come back down. Now he's left his jacket and his phone downstairs, but he's gone upstairs and locked himself into the guest bedroom. I'm not going to recall any of the names or anything like that. So the owners of the house and the host of the dinner party basically start to get a little bit upset. So the first part is about him going into the room, him locking himself in the room, and as the days and weeks progress, the owners are a little bit beside themselves because they want him gone, and they go through the emotions of having someone locked in a room and not coming out. Now, the first question that's going to come to mind, well, why didn't you call the police and just get him forcibly removed? That's not what this story is about. This is about getting to know these people at the dinner party, and how they're all how some of them are connected and all that sort of stuff. And it's a beautiful play with language. So basically the first part of the story, he's locked in there and they're all beside themselves. So the female owner of the house basically gets his phone and goes through his phone and comes across a name called Anna Kay. Now, then we're introduced to Anna Kay, who is also introduced to the child that was at the dinner party. And the child doesn't live at this house. She was a guest at the dinner party. So she is there because it's all exciting. And, this is making news that this man has locked himself in this house and all this sort of stuff. So it's all exciting. So she contacts Anna Kay and subsequently goes, oh, there's this person and, you know him. And she's like, no, I don't. Anyway, Anna Kay, for whatever reason, turns up to the house. And we don't really know why she turns up to the house. But she turns up to the house because I think out of curiosity. And then she basically says to the woman, I don't really know him. I'm not too sure who it is and all that sort of stuff. And then she leaves the house and because then the owner puts it onto Anna Kay to get him out of the house. And so basically she leaves the house and she's walking along with this little girl and they're talking about this and that. And this little girl's really, really inquisitive and asks really thought-provoking questions and all that sort of stuff along the way. Anyway, Anna Kay goes along with this little girl, and then we start to get her reminiscing about how she knows Miles, because she was adamant that she didn't know him, and then she realized, oh, yes, I do know him, but I haven't spoken to him in 30 years or 20 years or whatever it was. And I'm not good with numbers and I'm not good with names and that. So, yeah. The little girl's name, though, is Brooke. And I didn't remember that is because that's one of my friend's daughter's name. And so basically she goes and sits at a cafe while Brooke goes to get permission to walk through the tunnels, these tunnels near this house and all that sort of stuff. So this is a couple of days after it's happened. So everything's really fresh and new and it's all exciting and all that sort of stuff. And while she's sitting at this cafe, she starts reminiscing about Miles and the sort of person he was and all that sort of stuff. So we get to know him as a teenager while they were traveling around Europe because they had won a competition and they were traveling from England around Europe and all that sort of stuff. And basically she was a little bit weird and he was even weirder and they made that connection. And then we move into the next section where we get to know Hugo. Now, Anna Kay wasn't at the dinner party. That was just focusing on the people that owned. And then we moved into the next section and we get to know Hugo and how he met Miles as well. So how he's connected with him. They met in a bar and they were talking, and this is where the play of language comes into it. They were talking and, when someone says to you, oh, yeah, I would love to, but... So that's where the but comes in. And then it has a little bit of a play with the language and all that sort of stuff. I, at this stage, was like in the first part of the book, I'm like, I'm intrigued by this book, but it is very, very weird. It is literary fiction. So literary fiction is not for everybody because a lot of time that is very, the prose are really nice. It's very flowery, all that sort of stuff. And not everybody's into it, but every now and again, I like to pick up these books. Now, this book was recommended, this author was recommended by a booktuber that I watch called Jen Campbell. And she works I believe she works in the publishing industry, but don't quote me on that. But I love her recommendations because she pushes me right out of my comfort zone, because I will fall into just reading, my nonfiction witchy books and, folklore books and all that sort of stuff. And then I'll just read the odd fiction or whatever. Since going over to BookTube, I've found a few different booktubers that I watch that read obscure stuff, and she reads a lot of advanced reader copies and all that sort of stuff, which I'm doing as well now, and all that sort of thing. And she reads a lot of translated work and whatnot. And one of my goals has been, as a reader, to be reading more diversely. Not for any political statement or anything like that. There are just some really fabulous authors from other countries. So I look for a lot of translated that I wouldn't otherwise get to read because they're not in English, because I can't read another language or anything like that. And so I go to her channel to get a lot of recommendations. Now, I don't visit her channel every week. I sort of, go and have a look every now and again, and then I'll binge watch all her videos for ages. And I'll skip and skip through the videos and all that sort of stuff, because I know I pretty much know what I like now and all that sort of stuff. But when it comes to translated works and literary fiction, I go to her because she's not steered me wrong yet. And again, she didn't on this. So after she recommended Ali Smith, I ended up buying the seasonal quartet, which is 4 books, the seasons, and I have them. And I got this one because this one was on special. I got this for $8. So I'm really happy that I got it and whatnot. So continuing on into the story, then we go into 4, and this one was about an older lady. She was at the end of her life, and how her daughter had passed away when she was younger. I think she was 16. She must have had some sort of heart problem, like heart defect or something like that. No one knew about it, and she dropped dead at 16. So this is this woman, I forget her name now, but this woman is in what I figured was a hospice care or palliative care. And basically she is also connected to Miles as well. And you don't realize how they are connected, but it was a very sweet story there and all that sort of stuff. Now, this has got a little bit of a spoiler, but chances are that you're probably not going to get to this book for a while and all that sort of stuff. So she's reminiscing, and I could imagine I'd probably be like this. Like, she's really pissy that she was in this hospice, right? And so she wasn't taking her medication and all that sort of stuff. But when she opened her eyes from her sleep, there was this young girl sitting there. And then she goes on to talk about her daughter, and I think she had been at this hospice only just like for a couple of days. That was the impression I got. And so, so she was there, and she was, being a little bit cheeky and not taking her medication, which was making her feel really groggy and not remember things and all that sort of stuff. And she didn't like it. And anyway, she was sitting there and she was talking about her daughter and how her daughter died and how her other daughter felt about that, and her, not feeling loved and all that sort of stuff from her family after her sister Jennifer died. And we're going through that for a while, and there's this girl in the room that's just sitting there with her, and not really saying anything, is on her phone and all that sort of stuff, engaging every now and again with her, and that was fine. And then basically she asked her to break her out. And then as she was talking through her daughter and reminiscing about her daughter and stuff like that, she was also saying that this boy, on the day that her daughter died, no, she didn't say that. What was it? She goes, once a year he'd come and sit or knock on the door, bring a box of chocolates, and then he walked away was the first time. And that was a year directly after. So it was the day a year later. And he did this every year. And even on the year that he wasn't able to do that when he was in Canada, he sent a postcard so it would land in her hands on the day of the anniversary of the death. And subsequently, it turns out that he actually did this every year. And then basically the old lady asks the young girl to break her out of the hospice. So they break out and she gets her friend to come pick them up and drive them to where Miles is. And by this stage, this has been weeks and all that sort of stuff. And Miles is there's all these tents and people selling pins, and there's a psychic there saying get stuff from, get answers from Miles, but they were calling him Milo. And all that sort of stuff. And it was just how everybody was coming together. And again, there was a lot of play on language and all that sort of stuff. And then we go into the last part of the book, and this focuses on Brooke, the young girl, and how clever she is, and how she being so clever, but she's also struggling at school because she's bored and stuff like that. And then there's, plays on, the talk of the social aspect of people being on their phones all the time and all that sort of stuff. This is a wonderful book, and I highly recommend it to anybody that loves the play on language, where you're taking words and then you're playing with those words and constructing sentences. And sometimes it can feel like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but Ali Smith brought it all together in the end. And I just loved how she ended. I'm not going to give you the ending, but whether he got out or not, but it was just a fabulous play with words. Now, I'm not usually one to critique anybody's writing or anything like that, because I can't write, and how dare I judge someone else's writing. But this was just fabulous. I absolutely loved the creativity behind it, the story behind it, how she interconnected everybody, how these words on the front cover were a play, like she played with those and brought them all in, and also tied the whole story together with this young girl who was asking questions and all that sort of stuff. We only seen Brooke a little bit in the bit about the daughter that died and the older lady and whatnot, but she still was there. She was still that overarching presence throughout the entire book from beginning to end. But if you've not read anything from Ali Smith, just on this book alone, I'm looking forward to reading more of her stuff. But yeah, maybe check her out and see if you like her or not. But But for the was actually also for a reading challenge that I'm doing this year, which was the Buzzwordathon. That video is linked up on, will be linked up down below, and you can go and check that out over on my BookTube. But yeah, so we had to have there in the title, so there, or there. So over there, it's theirs, or yeah. And so basically, it just had to have the word there on it. And I was lucky enough, no other book did, I might add. And I've got a ton of books on my shelves. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have to do a reread probably. But no, I had this one. And I'm so glad that this was the first one that I picked up. Let me just grab my phone and I'll tell you what I rated it. Because I have already logged it into my journal online. Let me just get to my stats. I've already read 11 books this year, which is amazing. I rated it 4 stars. I thought it was 4 stars. So this is a good fit for people who are in the mood for thought-provoking and playful exploration of language, history, and the human condition with a touch of humor and whimsy. So if that's something that you're into, this really will fit the bill. All right, so that is my book review, because I do a thing on my Patreon called Recent Reads. This one, but that's for new releases that are coming out or have just been released. Whereas I thought, you know what? Someone has asked me about it. I'll talk about it today. I'm also going to talk about it on BookTube as well. So, and that's probably not as coherent as this one was. All right. So now that we've got that out of the way, I do have these all sewn on. So I'm not going to worry about sewing these down. I'll probably do that a bit later, but we're going to talk about the top borders here. So I've cut a couple of strips, and hopefully they'll be long enough. I might have to add a little bit more onto it. Yes, I will. I will have to add another 2 inches onto this because this was out of a fat quarter. So that happens. And I do have leftover bits and pieces. So I'm all good. I'm not going to be short or anything like that. So you can see here that this is the way I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to be, move this out of the way. Get that out of the way because I don't need that right now. So we've got 2 strips, and basically I've got one with the right side facing up and one with the right side facing down. All right, so let me just bring this down a little bit closer for you. There we go. Is that going to be good? Yeah, that is going to be good there. All right, sorry about the movement there. But as you can see, I have got a line drawn on this, and this is going diagonal. So what will happen is when I open this up, let me just take those out. You can see there that where my line is, that is going to create a diagonal. Now, I've gone about a quarter of an inch past each one, so it looks like it's going to be too far down, so I just have to adjust that. I was just doing a mock-up just to show you what I'm going to be doing. All right, so let me just bring that a bit closer. All right, and then I just usually put a pin in to make sure that it's going to be, I need a flatter pin. That's not going to work for me. So yeah, so I'm doing a diagonal. There we go. That's good. That's a bit better. It is still a little bit down, so I'm going to take it up a little bit. Okay, so let me just bring this up just a touch. That should work. So I'm just going past. Now it doesn't matter if it's not completely lined up, but you can see there that that is looking a little bit better. So I can feel that that's where the thing is, and I've gone past it. So I've got that little bit past. That is okay, because that bit is going to get trimmed off, but I wanted my bottom bit to just give me that nice straight. And you can see it looks like it's past a little bit. That's okay, because this will get caught up in the once I iron it and whatnot, it'll sit a little bit flatter, and then it'll just be one long strip and we'll be good to go. But we can trim this section off up here. This is fine, because this is just a bit that's going to get discarded. Down this part here, I didn't want anything to be too far down, because this is a border. If it was a binding, it wouldn't matter, because our bindings, as you know, we would fold this in half and we can line that up and get it looking straight anyway. But because it is a border, that's what I want to do. Now, if you're not comfortable doing a diagonal, that you can actually just take your strips, okay, place them right sides together, make sure that they are facing the right way, that the fabric's all going the right way, and then you can place them right sides together, draw a 1/4 inch seam line, and then just stitch on that, just like we did with the other ones. Okay, so you can do that. All right, but as I said, I am actually going to do mine diagonally. So I am going to place this on. Then I'm going to just draw that diagonal line. And then I'll just get a flat pin just to mock that up a bit. I always play with it and make sure that it's sitting in the right spots, and that is going to be fine. I'm happy with that. I could probably go up just a touch more. Try that again. I'd rather play around with it. There we go. Okay, I'd rather play around with it and get it somewhat sitting a lot better. And as you can see, the diagonal, while my little guys aren't exactly perfect, they sort of blend in a little bit more, okay, because we've got the same color here, and then you can see up here as well, we've got that coloring, and they're going the same way, so it's all good. Okay, so now that I know that that is in the right spot, what I will do is put a couple of extra pins in just to make sure that it holds everything in place. And then all I'm going to do is stitch it exactly the same way as I stitched my border on to there, on my little sashing pieces that I stitched on. Okay, and let me just grab this. I've got pins everywhere. Let me get all those. Oh, they don't want to come up. Okay, there we go. All right, and then I'll just start down here, put a knot in the end. And then once I've got them joined, I will add another little extra bit down the bottom at one of the ends, because we don't have enough. And then basically all I'm going to do is all I will do is sew these borders on, just like I sewed the sashing pieces in. Okay, so it's exactly the same. It's not going to be any different. So I'll just show you how I do these, and then we can go ahead and finish off doing all those borders and adding the extra bits on, so we know we've got enough. And again, we're just doing a back stitch. So that's where we come out, and then we go in where we came out, where our stitch behind us has finished up. And as I said, I do them about a little bit bigger than 1/8 of an inch. You can do them as small as you want on that as well. So yeah. All right, so you can see there that I'm just stitching on that line. And I'm just doing a little tiny stitch. And I must say that on this sort of thing, you want your stitches to be a little bit smaller, or you can use a double thread as well, but I'm just using a single thread. But you want to sort of keep your stitches a little bit smaller on this one, because this is a border and you are going to flip it over, and you might end up making sure that they're close together is what I'm trying to say. The words just weren't coming then. Oh, dear me. So the plans for the rest of today is to do a few chores. I've got to go down the road and get some stuff, but then I'm going to come back and I'm going to listen to a audiobook and do some stitching today. I film my floss tube on a Sunday afternoon, so that's ready for Monday. Sometimes I film it on a Sunday night. It just depends what's going to go on during the day. But yeah, I'm going to turn on the air conditioning in the lounge room, and I'm going to hide in there and listen to my audiobook. I might watch a little bit of TV a bit later. I've got several books that I want to get finished in the next week. I cannot believe that we're already at the 20th of January. Like, yeah, it's amazing how quick the month is going. So before I know it, I'll be down in Brisbane. And I'm just going to do a little knot. And I'll do another one. I mean, this is going to be encased in a binding anyway. So, all right, there we go. Oh, that, get rid of that. All right. So, as you can see, that is now joined together. Okay. It's a nice little stitch there, and let me just find my scissors. And then all I'm going to do is, so I know that I'm not getting too close to it, I'm going to put my ruler on that line that I just stitched, and I'm going to draw another line, and that is going to be my cutting line. Okay, so I'll just make sure that that's sitting nice and flat, and then I'm just going to cut on that line. I don't have my big scissors over here, so I was using them. Okay. Now, you can press this open if you were stitching with your sewing machine, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have that over because I've hand stitched that. So there you go. And now you can almost see, like, not see that seam. Okay, so it's just sort of disappeared, and it's sort of joined up my little slippers and all that sort of stuff. Not perfectly, but close enough to it. But as I said, this was a fat quarter, so I couldn't mess with how I was going to cut it. I only had a certain amount of fabric. All right, so that is how we sew our borders together. I will have to add another piece onto this one, but that is it for me today. I've got this piece here to do, so I'll do that. I will do that off camera today and get that done. That'll only take me, it'll take me as long as this one. It'll take me 5 minutes, but we'll be ready to sew these borders on next week. So yeah, so what's happening this week? We have next Friday, we actually have our flag sale with Gail and I have our flag sale starting next Friday. because it's a public holiday. It's Australia Day next week. So that's exciting. That's going to be starting. So I've got to get all that prepared and another new start. Like I need a new start, like a hole in the head. But anyway. All right. So as I said, that is it for me today. If you're watching the replay, don't forget to leave me a comment down below. If you so choose, please share this across the socials. And I will see you all again next week for another day of Slow Stitching Saturday. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. And if you're new here and you've yet to subscribe, please subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all hopefully next Saturday. I don't have, I'm just trying to think, do I have anything else? Something else I was going to mention, and I cannot think what it is. So I'm going to say that I don't have anything else to say. Have a great day, everybody, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now.